December, the world turns to Doha, Qatar for chess at its fastest and fiercest. The 2025 FIDE World Rapid and Blitz Championships bring the globe's elite to battle under lightning time controls. December 26th to December 30th, Rapid and Blitz formats designed to reward precision, courage, and creativity. In the heart of the Middle East, Doha offers more than a board. a world-class venue, a cultural backdrop, and a stage worthy of legends. With a €1 million prize fund on the line and the title of world champion at stake. The 2025 FIDE World Rapid and Blitz Championships, the ultimate test of fast chess.
Welcome to the FIDE Online Chess Museum. The International Chess Federation proudly presents the FIDE Chess Museum, an online space celebrating the rich history and evolution of chess. Explore exhibits that trace the game's fascinating journey. Discover the origins of chess, beginning in the distant past, and follow FIDE's centenary journey. Rare chess sets, unique books and memorabilia, autographs of chess legends, trophies of historical tournaments, and stories of the chess champions. Explore the game's legacy and future. Chess is more than a game. It's a global culture of strategy and unity. Join us to experience this unique online journey where history, culture, and passion for chess converge. And also on your phone.
The crucible of competition, the eyes of the world. Goa, India hosts the 2025 FIDE World Cup, where over 200 of the top chess players in the world face off in an 8-round knockout tournament.
This queen has nowhere to go, that is the end.
Excellence, perseverance, and stamina bring glory, national pride, and a spot at the illustrious Candidates Tournament. The globe's best chess players hope to add their name to the list of champions.
Ooh, he made a move in 1 second.
The 2025 FIDE World Cup. Let's get these games started.
Goa, India may look like the picture of calm, but beyond these peaceful views lies one of the most nerve-wracking battles in the world of chess. The FIDE World Cup is a grueling, unforgiving knockout tournament that started with over 200 of the world's best chess players, and now only 4 remain. And today, in the tiebreaks of the semifinals, the stakes are even higher. The winners will not only earn their place in the finals, they will guarantee themselves a coveted spot in the 2026 Candidates Tournament. I am your host, International Master Anna Rudolph, and I'm thrilled to be joined by world-class commentator Grandmaster David Howell, and of course, the legend herself, the greatest female chess player of all time, Grandmaster Judith Polgar. David, Judith, we are in for a treat because what's at stake, it's multiplied of the usual world class of the usual World Cup format when it comes to 3 candidate spots are being decided in Goa, India, and 2 of them will be guaranteed today. Let's take a quick look at the format and how this will unfold. After the classical matches were drawn, we are now in for speed chess. David, please take us through this very interesting format where the time keeps getting lower and lower as we go further and further into the matches.
Exactly. One word sums this up. It's just faster. We start with 2 15-minute games plus 10-second increments. If those are still tied, if the score is 1-1 between those 2 games, we go down to 10-minute games, 10 plus 10, then 5 plus 3, 3 plus 2, and eventually, potentially, Armageddon. We could see 9 games today in both or maybe either of the semi-finals. That means a lot of chess. It could be a real marathon. We've had a few Armageddons so far this tournament. Will that happen again today? That's the big question.
Huge question indeed, and we do have our reporter on the ground, international master Rakesh Kulkarni, to break us down all the info from the playing hall on what's about to take place.
Welcome to the tiebreaks of the semifinals here at the FIDE World Cup. We will have two new candidate spots reserved for the winners of today's match. It's going to be decided in rapid or blitz, maybe in Armageddon. We'll find out. So it's Wei Yi versus Andrei Esipenko. Wei Yi and Esipenko both have played more than 20 games, so might be getting tired there. But that's not the case for Norderbeck. Yakubboev versus Sindarov. Both have played 16 to 19, 20 games each in all three formats. It's going to be super interesting to see which of the Uzbek players guarantees themselves a spot in the finals, as well as the candidates. We'll find out. It's going to be super exciting. By the way, we also know that Esipenko and Yakubboev got married very, very recently, like in the last couple of months. Will Lady Luck shine on them? We'll find out. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you so much, Rakesh, for the breakdown. And this is it. Only 4 Grandmasters standing in the World Cup, and 2 of them today will advance to the finals. And with that, they will guarantee their spot in the 2026 Candidates Tournament. Judith, when you see the players already seated, ready for the tie breaks and speeches, what is it like? Please describe what the atmosphere may be like when the stakes are so high.
Well, the first 2 classical games were kind of a warm-up for this day today, and all players know that, of course, the normal general saying that the tournament is already long and everybody's tired, and at the same time they are there, they have the energy because they are there, they've won so many matches, and of course it takes down to the nerves, and also basically it's this day, it's the following next several hours, who can focus better, how it affects each other when they are blundering, they are missing an opportunity. So resilience will be maybe the key element of the matches, but of course they understand that they have to be 100% there in their mind, in their body, excluding everything out in order to perform the best today. At the same time, I think the players know that in the next round, they still have a chance to qualify for the candidates tournament, which we are going to talk about. But for now, of course, everybody is just trying to get all the focus, the classical pre-move routine, ritual, what we've just seen, touching the pieces, making jadub on the pieces. It just comes naturally for all of us. I think it's like the final touch before making the opening moves.
That's indeed what's happening. And there was a smile on most of the players' faces. I wonder if someone tried to crack a joke. The opening move is about to be played, the ceremonial first move. Now the focus is back on, no matter how funny that joke might have been, this is serious business. David, what do you expect from today's tie breaks? And do you think any of the players have a psychological edge from the classical matches?
Ooh, it's tough, right? Because although Andrei Esipenko was probably on the front foot for both of the classical games against Wei Yi, he might feel like that was his chance. That was the time to get the job done. Wei Yi, although he was struggling for survival, maybe he feels like he's over the worst, and this is his time to shine. I will say that, okay, they're all young, the 4 players. It's the biggest day of their careers, probably. But it's definitely kind of deja vu for Esipenko, who's played so many tiebreak games. He's played 26 games, including classical, rapid, blitz in this tournament so far. Yakubboev is the opposite. He's only played 1 tiebreak, only 14 games in total. So he's very fresh. 14 games in nearly 3 weeks. That's not too bad. So I think maybe his freshness will be what he relies upon rather than the kind of being used to the tie breaks as maybe Sindarov is feeling at this point. I think this one's going to be the more nervy of the 2 semifinals. I just have a feeling something big is going to happen here. It's hard to play a friend in the biggest day of your life, let alone try to beat them.
Very hard to Absolutely, David. You made some really good points there. And that first move, by the way, looked like it was d4 or almost d5. Sometimes the pieces are not exactly placed in the middle of the square. And it has been taken back by Yakubboev. So we shall see whether he will stick to d4 or play something else. This is it. This is what all of these players have come here for, to compete in the World Cup and make it all the way to the finals. And d4 has been repeated by Yakubboev. Okay, so we have our two-board view here. This is the 15-minute plus 10-second rapid game, the first game. Let's start diving into the opening choices. Judith, how do you like so far what's happening on the board? And will we see a repetition, especially on that right board? The pawn structure is already the same as the classical game in the Petrov, Esipenko against Wei Yi.
Exactly. It seems that they are following their previous game, which was classical. Probably, well, we can see, David, if he comes up, if they get very similar position of yesterday with a different bishop maneuver, which we were missing out of. But I think in a rapid, shorter time control game also, it is easier to play it with the white pieces generally. But well, we'll see what Wei has in mind, how comfortable he feels. I think h3 is the new move compared to yesterday's game. It was played something different.
The bishop was also an e6 last time, rather than f5 for black. So Wei Yi was the first to throw in something slightly different, and h3 is also a different ingredient from Esipenko, with the bishop coming out now to a4. Okay, that's going to be very tense. The other game, there's been a big commitment. Yakubboev has put a bishop on e5 and a queen's gambit declined via a Slav move order. But yeah, that bishop's been traded off, so we have a big imbalance on that left board as well. The Uzbek battle. Where should we jump in first? I'll give you the choice, Anna. Which game?
I think that b5 move by Wei Yi is something that we need to explain a little bit, because we usually tell our students, do not do this, do not touch the pawns in front of the king where you castle, but that pin was really annoying. So Wei Yi ended up pushing the b pawn to chase the bishop of white away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unexpectedly, some weaknesses on black squares. I was wondering at first if black can sacrifice a pawn, or pushing the pawn to d5, trying to block the b3 bishop. It looks also risky.
Yeah, but that's definitely what he wants, right? If he can play d5, move the knight, and play c6, then it's like that famous bishop. It's a bit different, but the Capablanca bishop, I'm struggling to forget his opponent, with the bishop on g3, pawns on e5, g5, like that bishop's never ever coming out of b3. So if he can
the position became very sharp unexpectedly from Petrov defense. It's not going so slowly. And but if white can go bishop d5, transfer the bishop to f3, that can be tricky. At the same time, it seems like things are getting very concrete, because white cannot go to bishop d5, c6, and then bishop moves back. Maybe knight c4 attack. So white has to be careful because of some concrete ideas for black.
Mm-hmm. It does feel very concrete with knight a5, just in time to stop that bishop maneuver, as you mentioned, Judith. And that means that if white cannot go for the bishop maneuver, then this knight will be traded for white's light squared bishop. And take the pair of bishops away. We'll have the same colored bishops on the board, at least, not opposite colored bishops. That's something. But when it comes to the pawn structure and black having to push b5, how much of a weakness it is, and can white exploit it, or is it just very solid once the light squared bishop is off of the board? David, how do you see this structure for Wei Yi?
Yeah, I mean, if the queen's come off, then he's definitely not worried here. If you, like you say, he gets the bishop off the board, probably as long as he gets some light squared influence, black king on b7, pawn on c6, he should be able to cover all the holes. I think it's not the worst thing in the world. We've seen kind of with a kind of mirror image in all these Italians, black playing g5 against the bishop on h4. It tends to be okay short term. I think the white players' logic in those openings in this position is that, okay, one or two positions there might be an issue where you're overextended. You get a bit psychologically scared more than anything concrete, and Esipenko will try to at least hope that one or two tactics might land, but I don't really see it in the near future, unless he's going to strike quickly with like a g4 and somehow get the white queen into d5 before black is ready. Then maybe.
David, what do you think about the opening preparation? Are they out of book by now, or already for a few moves?
Oh, good question. I think Wei Yi's probably still in book. He's gained time since the game began.
Yeah.
He chose bishop f5. He was the one who switched things up. I think he probably could have predicted bishop b5, bishop a4. That is a known idea, so I don't think he's had to come up with much himself. Esipenko, I think, at least now is definitely out. I'm not sure how long ago he was out of his prep.
I'm
How about
taking
yourself?
a quick look at the database, and I think you're absolutely right that bishop b5, bishop a4 is something where he easily could have prepared for. And this idea of playing with rook e8 immediately seems to be new. It looks like black usually pushed the bishop away with a6 immediately and then played somewhat differently. So it's new territory now for both players, but I do feel like Wei Yi is the better prepared player, also from what we see on the time management. Could we, by the way, check in with the other game to assess also the opening moves and who might be happier with the outcome of the opening? As you mentioned, David, it's a very unbalanced structure. This trade on e5, if we take a quick action recap of how we landed here, David, very unusual structure.
Yeah, just a very quick go through the game up until this point. We saw Queen's Gambit declined via this kind of semi-Slav move order. The other day, we saw Queen to d3 between these two in the classical. This time it was Bishop g5, one of the more main lines. Knight d7, hinting that the Black Queen might come out to a5, the Cambridge Springs variation. But now we did see a transposition to the Queen's Gambit declined, and in this position, going back to f4 has always been very odd to me, like giving black a free tempo with h6, but saying that now bishop d6 is harder to achieve. And black can hunt down the bishop, as did happen. Knight takes bishop now. And this is how we got here. To my eyes, it looks totally fine for black. This e5 pawn, I don't see why it should be stronger than it is a weakness, but who knows? This seems like preparation from Sindarov, at least, which isn't good news for Yakubboev here, Judith.
Yes, it's a very complicated game. It's not like in their games, both of their classical games, especially yesterday, it was so symmetrical, very solid. They spent their time, but basically after move 12, 13, 14, somewhere there, they started to exchange pieces. This is not going to happen here. We are seeing a very unbalanced position. Black has the bishop pair. The h5 knight, at first it seemed to be pretty ugly for me, but I see that there is a route to it to get to a better placement. Knight g7, knight e6, blockading, or possibly to f5. Though for the moment, probably it will stay there for some time. It's I also have the feeling, and the time management of Nodirbek shows very much that he got surprised by the play of Sindarov.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious how he'll follow up, because it's not easy to make an active move with white. White would love to play knight d4 and f4, right? That would be magic for white and strengthen the position, but it's not possible because the e5 is hanging for the moment. Though I would, of course, consider knight d4, queen e5, f4, giving up all my pawns, start pushing. But I'm afraid maybe it's a bit too much.
Probably not in a World Cup semi-final with a candidate's spot on the line when your opponent's well prepared. I don't know.
Well, that goes already for the Armageddon portion. Game number 9 today. But we are far from that.
He wants to play e4, but I just don't think it works at the moment. Bishop takes knight, and it's just too slow. One move too slow. Maybe he can set up something like e4. I'm just not sure how. Queen to d4 or queen somewhere. Not easy. Not easy for white to find moves. I don't think this is good news at all for Nodirbek. Feels like he's already on the back foot with white, and that could be decisive. 6 minutes down nearly. Bad news,
And
Anna.
that's a significant time disadvantage in a rapid game, and also just the psychological side of your opponent has come better prepared. He got you into a position where you're not that comfortable. You have less time on the clock. And this is for the candidate spot. Not easy. Not easy in this moment to be Nodirbek Yakubboev. I think this is a great start for Sindarov. The youngest participant of the World Cup, still remaining in the field, only 19 years old, and he has done a really good job for this game one. I definitely feel like Black's position is more comfortable, and it's easier to find the ideas and see the where the game is heading. At the same time, Yakubboev is trying with your idea, David. I think he's trying to untangle his pieces, and he plays queen to d4 to force a little bit the issue there. Will the bishop take? Will it move? It's not hanging at the moment, but it's just making it a bit more concrete. And also, of course, like at some point, maybe e6 would be a lovely move with the rook on a8 hanging.
Mm-hmm. And Black now probably reacts either by castling or knight g7, something Judith mentioned, to come round. Yeah, I suggested this move, and now suddenly I don't like it. Whoops. But
you don't like it anymore.
The idea.
I wanted to go rook c1.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't like queen d4, I see.
Just this queen suddenly feels vulnerable, either to bishop c5 or just knight g7, knight f5, knight e6 type of ideas. It just depends.
I like a lot that knight maneuver. It just feels so natural to bring the knight toward the center. It's not well placed on h5, so it looks like it could be the right moment. And the e6 is not a threat by white, because you can also take it with the pawn, and that will guard the knight on g7. So there are no tactics for white or cheap ideas with the discovered attack.
Mm-hmm. But I think after knight g7, e6 would be played.
You think it's still okay? Just to get rid of the pawn? At least to get the
unless you go f6 or f6 or f5, I don't know. But fe6, knight e5. And the g6 pawn is very vulnerable, I think.
Ooh.
That's a good point, that finally white's pieces would be really active for the sacrifice pawn and that target on
bishop d3 was also an option, by the way, instead of knight e5.
Yeah. What does Black even do here? Like, maybe queen f6. Not easy. That's a very good point. But maybe f6 as well. Oh,
but then g6 is weak
again.
Very weak. Is knight h4 suddenly would be very unpleasant for Black. I thought e6 wasn't that big of a deal, but Judith, you are so right that no, it is a big deal because of the weaknesses that it would create in Black's camp. Even if the pawn falls, that doesn't matter. Finally, white is active.
Never let Judith attack, Anna. That's the motto. The motto here. Just never let her play e6.
Give her that one moment, and that's it. That's enough.
Especially in the morning time of the day.
Yeah. Probably Black should castle.
If that's the case, right? Does it mean that that Black should either castle, or is bishop c5? I don't know. I didn't really want to move that bishop away, but now I'm slightly annoyed by this queen on d4.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's also kind of interesting when two players are friends and they know each other very well. They know each other's weaknesses. They know each other's feelings towards type of positions. And I have the feeling that after knight g7, e6 is interesting, not only because it's an interesting idea, but it might be also something that Sindarov would feel uncomfortable with. To go behind and defend. Okay, he has a pawn up, but he's a player also who more likes to take initiative. So knight g7 is halfway on the board, with the intention.
Yeah, he almost touched the knight. This is the trademark Sindarov, reaching for the piece, then double, triple checking. Is he gonna touch it now? Yeah, knight to g7. So he's inviting pawn to e6. Will we see that pawn sacrifice? I think that would be great news for all fans of chess and us, that the position will suddenly become a lot more chaotic and complex and sharp. And for Yakubboev, if not e6, he has just stepped into this knight maneuver otherwise.
Well, he might be just playing rook ac1 and waiting where the knight will be jumping and pushing his queen away, and then he moves somewhere. back to d3 or d2. E6, it's in the first playoff, and we don't see e6 yet. A3.
Okay, a3 solid. Chases the bishop away, invites whether the bishop will trade for the knight on c3 or bishop to c5. I was so rooting for e5. I really like your idea, Judith. I think that was promising for white, but you're right. There's a lot at stake. And this is just the first game of the tiebreaks.
Mm-hmm. This one's very complex, still a lot of tension, but maybe we can jump over to the other board just because there's been a queen exchange already. Everything coming off the board over there. That one far more developed than this game. So I'm just going to take us over and check this out. Very different from when we last left it.
Well, and they can be very happy, I guess, having such a strong central pawns.
Yeah, d5 in the near future. Just a quick action replay maybe, because after knight to a5, we said bishop d5.
There was a queen sacrifice. We definitely need an action replay, temporary queen sacrifice.
Yeah, we said bishop d5, probably not the move to think about, but he did go for it. Bishop back to f3, and like you said, Anna, temporary queen sacrifice, knight into c4. He could already probably play bishop g4 in a safer way, Esipenko, but queen to d4, bishop f6 hits the queen, and like you said, queen sacrifice, queen takes knight, because after a recapture, the black queen immediately gets skewered, and maybe this is what he missed. Rather than taking on g4, helping white's pawn nearer the center, opening the h file, queen to e6. Maybe he thought he could, for example, take on d6. Maybe he thought he was winning a pawn here, but he's not, due to a check, and suddenly the black pawn can block on, up on the diagonal. So now he's forced to play this endgame where, Judith, you thought maybe black is the more comfortable player.
Well, don't tell me you're not the one who would pick black as well.
Me too. Me too. Good bishop.
Me too.
Of course.
Yes. Finally, black's pawn structure is really healthy and strong. They all get all that space. And also, yeah, that must have been the miss, the queen e6 sliding back to a square where the trade was more beneficial for black.
Very
Time
beautiful
situation too. Yeah, it has improved massively when it comes to where you're no longer being down on time, and his position is more pleasant.
Yeah. Yes,
Queen
needs to
e6
get out
must
of
have
here.
been blundered.
Needs a draw with white. Just hold on. But how? He wants all the rooks off probably without allowing black to get another pawn in the center. Maybe that's still fine.
You remember, David, yesterday we were talking about it. Anna was not here. And when people play the Petrov, you have the feeling that it's like so embarrassing to get a worse position with white, not even talk about losing a game, because you think that, okay, Petrov is a game where black is trying to equalize. You always have a little more pleasant position with white, and then you either win or you agree to a draw anytime. And then you end up in this position, and it would be the last thing I would think of, that white is playing for a win.
Yeah,
it's not so bad at all, but it's like, look at those massive pawn structure for black.
Feels like the Petrov, it's like anytime I played white against it, I just think it's an eternal draw offer. So I can agree to draw anytime I want with white. Like move 10 or move 50. I just assume my opponent just wants a draw. But if an ambitious player plays the Petrov, then often like they'll get a position like this with black, and they will try. They will try very hard. And Wei Yi's playing with no risk. Like you can bring the king towards the center. You can play h5. You can push some pawns at some point. This is like a free roll for black. No risk, and a lot of fun.
Yeah, and to get that in the first game of the tiebreaks with the black pieces, I think this is a great start for Wei Yi in the tiebreaks. And let's remember that he knocked out one of the highest rated and one of the most heavily considered as a favorite for the World Cup. Arjun Erigaisi was knocked out by Wei Yi in a tiebreak, where Wei Yi played really well in both games. It didn't matter what color he had; he was going for Arjun, and he managed to knock out the top favorite of the field. Now, will we see a repetition? It's still early to call it, but I think he will definitely press. I like the ideas that you mentioned. Bring the king toward the center, push e5 at some point. How will white try to to put a break on the expansion of black? Because it does look like a free roll, as you said, David.
Yeah, maybe king d2, b3, something like that. If black doesn't push the pawns quickly. Maybe, yeah, just put pawns on f3. Or feels like he should be playing for b3 somehow with white. Otherwise, it's just super passive for the rest of the game.
Do you think f4 is the next move if black is not playing e5?
That's a good
or
question.
Or maybe even after e5, f4? Because he moved away bishop e3. So my question is, what is the idea behind it? He could have played, for example, rook e1 and tried to exchange the bishop on e5 to transpose to rook endgame. But I understand that was also not very appealing. But now there is a big question for Wei. How should I improve my position? Do I really have something to play for? Or should I just say, okay, it was a great, easy game to make a draw, and I shouldn't be ambitious at all? So should black go e5 with an idea of possible d4, or should he go g5 to stop the possible f4? Because if, let's say, g5, e5, and
he's pushing a5. So there were so many possible pushes from black's perspective. He goes for a5. I think we looked at many options, but not a5. What's the idea of that pawn push, David?
I saw Judith's face as well, so I'll ask in a second. I think the idea is to play a4 just to make b3 less appealing. I think that's white's main plan long term. So I think he just wants to scare Esipenko away from it. Maybe pawn on a4, move the king, put a rook on b8, and say that's a backward pawn on b2. But he's also setting a trap, I guess, Judith. Bishop b6, he'll probably move away to f8. And that's not a pawn you want to take with white.
Can we show that for a moment? Because it does feel like as if he blundered, but he didn't. Of course, he has calculated that the rook can go to the f file, and if the bishop takes the a pawn, black has a check on g5 and will pick up the f2 pawn. That will be a monster rook on the second rank and a great position for black. Esipenko has pushed a4, understandably not going pawn grabbing, but instead is fixing black's pawn on the a5 square to claim that that's a target.
Well, I find it very interesting, this move a5. Very interesting. And already yesterday we've seen moves by Esipenko mainly, where he played moves which we were very surprised at. That what's the idea behind it? It was some very deep ideas like rook c1, and we've seen some others also. And a5, I feel that it's a very interesting idea. First of all, it was giving a question to white. Do you allow me to play a4 and you suffer that way? Which was quite obvious that white should not allow that, I believe. And but after a4, there are other interesting problems or different aspect to understand the position. Like after king d7, I think black is planning to play rook b8. So white can completely forget about this plan, what David was mentioning, king d2 and b3, because the king is tied down to the pawn. And so it can be some very unpleasant story for white. Of course, now again, white has a question. Do I make whatever move, keeping my king on c1, allowing black to go rook b8, and I will stuck that way? Or is it better for me to go king d2, after rook b8 to go rook b1? But that also it's not a move that it looks so appealing, because it's extremely passive, right? And I think this is one of the most important things, especially at this stage of the match, that you always ask questions from your opponent, not necessarily always the best, objectively best position. But again, we have a position which is more or less balanced. Of course, all of us would pick black. At the same time, you don't find the winning move, but you have to find always the moves which gives questions to your opponent when he can take time for the decision, exhaust the opponent, and then whenever there is an opportunity, you're just ready to grab. So this is the strategy that I can have right now, starting playing a5, king d7.
That's a very good description of the situation. By the way, if we bring back our two-board view, or if we switch to the other game one way or the other, there are some advances and progress made in that game too. And the time management of Yakubboev is a bit worrisome. He's below 5 minutes. And the position is not getting any easier. It feels like the computer really loves this position for black from the perspective of, hey, let's put a knight on e6 and then let's push the d pawn, because if you sacrifice that pawn, then you can bring a rook to d8, and it is white who has to place very precisely. And I think that looks promising. Is it likely that Sindarov will play that way? Knight e6 looks very natural, of course, but can we expect a pawn sacrifice, a temporary pawn sacrifice? Judith, what's your call on that? It's similar to what we had from Yakubboev's perspective with the e-pawn sacrifice, but now it's Sindarov who should push the pawn.
Yeah, I think absolutely it's a great idea to open up for black the position and make use of his knight later on. And that d4 square can be a pretty important square in this game, I think, after knight e6 and, as you said, d4 and rook d8. Because the black squares can be quite vulnerable from white side. At the same time, yeah, queen d2 obviously should be the move. So in order, if whenever d4 comes, the h6 pawn is under attack. So, yeah, this way it would be not so obvious. Even black has great compensation, I think, in every way. Knight d4, I mean, the bishop on c2 is kind of vulnerable. It has some spaces on e4, but then even sometimes knight b3, knight d2 can come. Also, I like very much for black that the pawn is on b5 and not on a7, because that would be a different judgment. I believe that at some point where the white bishop moves away, rook a4 can show up on the 4th rank and can jump to the king side, possibly on rook on h4. I can visualize sometimes, yeah. So it can be quite tricky and tactical after this move. Black has quite a good harmony between his pieces. But let's see how it will unfold, where white is going to be moving with his queen, because it's an option that he moves to g4 maybe. Of course, for white, it would be very important to be able to play f4, f5 very fast. And that's why black has to be fast also in breaking in the center and pushing d4.
Mm-hmm. One big question is, like, queen g4 is the other most natural move probably, but then what happens, for example, after queen to g5? And is that a queen trade? Like, who wants that? Black gets more central pawns, just like the Wei Yi game, like more pawns nearer the center. Maybe the black knight's better than the white bishop. Tough call.
Well, that's the question. If after queen g4, queen g5 would come. But we are not going to know this because queen c3 was played. No answer on that question. I think after queen c3, the idea is that d4 is not so simple to implement, because after rook d8, rook d1, and d4 is stopped.
Mm-hmm. I want my queen trade, queen c5.
You want to chase the queen? Maybe after queen c5, I go queen d2.
Okay.
Anyway, you go d4,
through.
yeah?
Yeah. I would think I would take black here all day long.
I like a lot your queen c5 idea, yes. It looks very promising to either trade queens or get to push d4.
And what's your idea after queen c5 takes f4? Why are you so happy?
I just like endgames, Judith. I didn't have an idea.
So does Sindarov. It wouldn't be surprising if Sindarov goes for it, because he has made it through as far as the semifinals in a lot of endgames in this tournament, and so he plays queen to c5. Yes,
David, your move is on.
Yes, one move guessed, and it's a boring queen exchange. But I think the idea might just be like king g7, rook e8, maybe eventually play for f6, try and get some pressure on the e file as the queens come off. I don't know, it just feels quite blocked, and that probably suits the knights, especially like you said, Judith, with the pawn on b5, it makes things so much nicer.
Oh yeah, so much opportunity. Okay, f4, knight a4.
Ooh. He wants to come round maybe to c4.
Wow, that can be very unpleasant.
Yeah, indeed. Like rook b1, knight b6, and come round. Clever move. To take or not to take? What do we think?
And there's 3 minutes left for Yakubboev. This is a very much a tense situation with the time pressure, the pressure on the position, and that White has to be really precise here. I think that Sindarov has a really good practical chance in this first game. And it looks like, by the way, that's the story in the other game as well, with Wei Yi pushing in that end game. It could be a great start for the players with the black pieces. It's looking good so far.
I want a quick question. Who is for bishop a4? I would not go bishop a4. You, David?
I don't think I would.
No. Well, if it's
No.
3-0, it's not exciting. And he takes.
And maybe Yakubboev is reaching for the knight. I felt like he was about to touch that knight, so he's saying no. Guys, you're all wrong. This rook game is fine. Nothing to see here.
No, because I would play rook b1, and after knight b6, I would try to play e4 as fast as possible and somehow get rid of the d5 pawn. And then maybe later it would be a more comfy rook endgame. Somehow, now to play bishop a4, rook a4, having that rook on the fours, rook e4, rook c4, doubling on a file, b4, a lot of scary stuff.
He agrees with you. No trade. Rook to b1 is on the board.
Mm-hmm.
King f2, knight c4, king e2.
Yep.
What's the problem?
Or rook d1 to build for e4, maybe.
Yeah, but knight when?
After
knight c4, knight e3,
knight
yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now rook d1 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
To build for e4. I'm scared of king e2. There'll be some kind of quick f6 and rook e8, but maybe it still takes time.
Rook d1 I like.
Mm-hmm. He's playing it.
It's there.
Oh, 1 minute against 6.5, though. It is.
That's
really scary.
Oh.
Very scary. And there's not much increment, only 10-second increment per move.
Mm-hmm. Feels like it's been the same storyline on both boards, like you said. Like both players have kind of repeated openings they played in the classical. Esipenko repeated something he did yesterday. Yakubboev slightly switched it up with bishop g5 instead of queen d3, but clearly he walked into something Sindarov's prepared against. And both games, White's the one fighting for the draw on the back foot, lower on time. Yeah,
I love this camera angle, by the way, because we can see the other game as well behind Yakubboev. This is the perfect one to have on full screen, so we can see the other position too on the projector. But jokes aside, it is a lot of pressure on Yakubboev, and with only 1 minute in a slightly worse position, he's going to have to find some really accurate defensive moves.
Mm-hmm. Especially after f6. It's getting more concrete now. He definitely doesn't want to take that knight. White will get... Black will get some huge pawns. You can get the diamond of pawns. Bishop takes c4, b takes, and then black will follow up with b5. And
oof,
scary.
That's a scary one, yeah. But maybe what do you think about taking an? Yeah, okay. Takes, rook takes, bishop c4, bc.
He needs
yeah,
to be
but
quick
if White
now.
could go g3 and e4, I can make 2 moves. I would be okay.
Mm-hmm. If only chess worked like that, Judith. If only.
We would have saved many games, right?
We would have won many games.
Yeah. Well, seems like g3 is a must, isn't it?
And then it's just a case of whether black plays b5 or whether black plays rook e8 to stop. Rook e6 to stop the pawn. Oh, look at the bar. White plays natural moves, but he's going to be fully passive. It's the diamond. Look at those black pawns. Beautiful.
Wow.
Oof, this is suffering. All black needs
well,
is
it's
c5
hard to
later.
imagine that White can save this game with being so low on time and so difficult position. We can visualize it. King f5, king g4.
Mm-hmm. Or even if black kind of just brings the king around to d6 and then pushes c5 at some point.
And at some point, rook b8, b4.
Yeah, rook b8, b4. I don't think he saves this ever.
Well, but
It already shows king f3 as an inaccurate move, but it's so hard for white to find the best and most precise moves with not much time on the clock. Really tough endgame.
Mm-hmm.
well, all the time black has to consider and white have to take care of it. If c5, rook d5, b4 is for the moment, I think it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe rook d8 and c5, d4 next.
Yeah. Like rook d8 or king e7 look like useful moves, but the question is whether white can play e4 there or whether white wants to play e4. Rook d8, I don't think it's possible.
On rook d8, it's not possible because everything is exchanged on e4 and rook d2, right?
Yeah. Rook d8's a nice move.
Will we see rook d8 or the king maneuver? After king e7, is e4 all right for white? Is that something that Sindarov should be careful with, or can he go for the king maneuver?
Even just king d6 there, right? Like, maybe.
Well, it's very beautiful. King e7, e4 takes. King e4, king d6 check. And king has to go back because king d4, c5 checkmate.
Oh, that is beautiful. That would be incredible to see this pawn checkmate in the middle of the board.
But
Yeah.
white can
Wow.
go back to f3. At the same time, you're not happy to leave the queen side alone. But maybe rook e3 can be a saving opportunity for white afterwards. But this is the kind of position, if we go back to the live position.
Maybe here. Sorry.
But e5. Then I have also possible.
Sindarov is
Takes
pushing
e5.
h5. Also logical, just keeps everything as it is for now and not in a hurry with making a decision.
I think in this position, if black is not going to be converting his advantage, he's going to be very unhappy. So in this position, if it's going to be a draw, it's a psychological advantage for Nodirbak in the match, just a little bit, because here there's a great practical chance for black to take the lead. B3.
Yeah.
And on the other board, by the way, we do have Esipenko. Looks like he managed to get out of the complicated, slightly worse position and now found his footing in this endgame where there's several pawn pushes and possible trades, but it looks like white has gotten out of the woods and is all right in this endgame. What do you think, David? Actually, did I jinx it as I said it? The bar is saying this last move of Esipenko wasn't the best.
Let's maybe just jump in quickly over there because there's a blue arrow appearing and black. The only way, or we might see a repetition of the position. The only way, apparently, if we just go back very quickly after rook to e3, giving a decisive advantage was bishop d6, and it's got very similar shades to the other game we saw, where black has these huge pawns. It's crazy, the two boards mirroring each other. Now the black king runs in this way. This would have been a huge advantage for black, but Wei Yi missed it.
Oof, will he find it now that he has been given another chance to go at a second time instead of repeating, or will he do something else? He can also, I guess, he can also go to d6 now with the bishop if he wants the rook endgame, or he can assess e3 in this position. Yeah. But I like a lot the rook endgame idea.
e3 looks very tempting.
White will probably have to play g3 at some point. I'm not sure whether white takes on c4 first, but after e3, white probably has to... Ooh.
He's going back. He's going back to bishop e5. D6. Will he find bishop d6 now, or is he going to take the draw?
Oh, bishop d6 gets a huge advantage. I think it's just because the white rook's actually on a bad square, meaning the white bishop can't run away. And after bishop to d6, bishop d4, black can play moves like c5 there.
But this is the that the g2 pawn is also under attack. It's weak, right? It's not protected anymore. This is the problem. If Wei finds bishop d6,
he's repeating.
They go for it.
He's repeating.
Well,
he still has now this moment to change his mind. He can try e3. He can try bishop d6, but it feels like that moment is gone. It feels like he is going for the draw with the repetition of moves.
Maybe it's the clock as well. He's under 20 seconds against over 2 minutes. He repeats. That's the third time. They shake hands. Wow. Missed opportunity for Wei Yi. Esipenko saves the draw. A bit of a reverse of roles from the classical games.
Very much reverse roles where he had pressure from Black's perspective. That was a great opening, and also pressure in the end game. We still have this game, of course, and Wei and Esipenko will be back in a few minutes' time. Just a bit of a break for the players, but then there will be, of course, a second rapid game in that match as well.
Okay, Black needs to take back on c4. Which direction is he going? Which pass pawn?
B. And of course he does it with the D.
I wanted B as well. But maybe he was scared of E4. Now A4, but those are two connected pass pawns now. Oh, just rook E6.
And only 20 seconds on the clock. I mean, very upsetting second rank. Look at that check.
Oh dear, that's a painful check. Wait, is it checkmate after king h3, rook f2? That is painful. He has to go back to the first rank. Capture.
Solid capture back it's over.
Yeah, rook d5. Maybe Black can even move the king, but also just rook f5. And the rook on c3 is just such a sad piece. No time on the clock either. e4 played.
He's trying to free his c3 rook, but unfortunately this is very slow for white. How will Sindarov finish the game? What is the most accurate way? He's trying to figure out the most straightforward way to convert his advantage.
The rook f6 to f2 is quite tempting. Just to play rook b2 and rook a6 afterwards, also not bad.
Yeah.
Now Sindarov can only go wrong with getting confused with all the possibilities.
Rook d5 check is white's only hope, the only real threat.
But after that, I go king g4.
Yeah. Then you'll mate me. Rook b2 played. Probably white has to do something along the lines of h4 check.
On h4, king g4.
Then e5.
e5, king h3, g4. Oh, sorry.
He played
and
rook
the rook
to
is hanging.
d5 check after rook b2. Will we see the king going to g4 or back to the 6th rank? King to g6 is the choice of Sindarov. You can see the chair rocking because the tension, the pressure. Sindarov is so close to winning this game and taking the advantage, taking the lead in his semifinals match.
After rook f2, he wants to go rook a1.
I think he wants rook takes b5 after rook f2, no?
That's the trick. Wow, I almost blundered his pawn.
Probably it was still a big advantage for Black, which is the worst thing. But e5. Oh, the pawns are coming.
They're running the connected pass pawns of Black, and white can't really do much. Sindarov is already picking up the queen, signaling his intentions with the promotion.
And what happens after rook d? Rook d6, just too slow. Take
and
b4.
And b4.
Yeah, just taking b4. Oh, he goes back.
Okay, b4.
Easy move. c2 maybe also just winning, but b4 looks good.
After, yeah. Maybe c2 is even simpler.
Is he going to go c2? Will he push b4? Or is he considering anything other than those moves? It looks very straightforward after the pawn push. And so he does it. Pawn to c2, one square away from promotion. Queen is in the hands of Sindarov. He's ready for rook b1.
He's ready to beat his friend. And there we go. Handshake. Nodibek Yakubboev resigns. Painful game, losing with white. Now he's in a must-win situation. Sindarov one step away from the candidates now.
So close. All he needs, Javokir Sindarov, is a draw in the next game where he will have the white pieces. But we have seen this so many times at the World Cup that the players in a must-win situation have to win on demand, even if it's with the black pieces. It has happened. It has happened. It might happen again. There will be a lot at stake. What we have so far is Sindarov taking the lead against Nodirbek Yakubboev, and the other match, Andrei Esipenko and Wei Yi, has been a draw. Judith, your thoughts on this first game of the rapid tiebreaks of today, and what do you think we can expect for the next game where Yakubboev is in a must-win situation while the other match is still wide open?
Well, I think Sindarov is not a player who is going to be going for a draw that much. Of course, if he has the concrete opportunity, he does, but he's a healthy, good player with great self-confidence as well. At the same time, he's professional, so he knows that a draw secures him already a spot in the candidates and playing for the title. So, I don't know, but Nodirbek for sure, he has to be coming up with something very special. This day didn't start it his way. It feels that he was also very slow, which was very unfortunate for him. And in the other match, Wei was leading in this match. He outsmarted Esipenko in some crucial moment with his queen e6. So I'm very curious if he will win with white in the next game, but for sure we're up to a lot of excitement.
So much excitement and so much at stake. David, your call on what you expect from the next game?
I think it's difficult now for Yakubboev. I'm not sure there is a way back. He's a lot stronger, at least statistically, he's a lot stronger with white than black, so the fact he lost there with white could be the decisive blow. Also the fact they have the same coach, I don't think that coach will want to take sides, so who's he going to talk to? Who's he going to kind of rely upon to strike back? I think Wei Yi on the other semi-final, maybe I'm surprised that he didn't play on longer, that he didn't try and push harder. I wonder what's going to happen there. It just feels like they're so evenly matched and a lot of mutual respect. So I think the other one's still 50-50, but Sindarov almost there now.
He's almost there. We're going to take a very short break, but when we are back, we will figure out if Yakubboev is ready to try to win on demand and what will happen in the match between Esipenko and Wei Yi. We will be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. This is the tiebreaks of the semifinals with two players. They will be ready for the finals and they will be ready for the candidates tournament. That's the huge prize at stake. We will be back in a moment. See you very shortly.
Can you recommend us a series or a movie that you love?
Yeah, Peaky Blinders series.
I like Mission Impossible.
One of my favorite movies, probably Inception. Probably everybody has already watched it, but if you haven't, you definitely have to. Yeah.
Everyone should see Lord of the Rings at least once.
I had quite a fun watching Better Call Saul.
Yeah, I guess RRR for people, I think a lot of people are enjoying.
Your favorite song these days?
Jay-Z or something is good.
Before the game, I often listen to AC/DC, like Thunderstruck.
Some Turkish, I don't know, some Turkish one.
So they're an Irish band.
Yeah, again, nothing is coming to my mind. Yeah.
Bollywood, Hindi music. Otherwise, I like music from chess-based India reels.
If you could instantly learn any language, which one would it be?
The most useful would be, like perfect English, of course, but actually maybe Chinese would be cool. No?
I'm torn between Georgian, Nepali as well, but Nepali, it will just make me feel better that I speak my father's language, so yeah, Nepali probably.
Arabic.
Spanish is the right answer.
Spanish.
I'd say Sanskrit.
You're a ChatGPT user, right?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, it's I generally prefer it to Googling these days.
Well, to make things a little more interesting, you've been playing chess for a lot longer than ChatGPT's been around. We're going to have you play blindfolded if you don't mind.
Sure.
And we'll just have you spin in your chair and we'll make the moves on your behalf. So good luck.
I'll play H4.
Love it. ChatGPT calls your move unorthodox.
That is true.
D5 is ChatGPT's move.
D4.
Okay. ChatGPT is aware you're going for E4, or at least it thinks you are. H5 is the response.
Oh, wow. C4.
C6.
Solid, maybe a little bit passive.
Rook C8 is the response.
Can you ask ChatGPT if it can see why that may be a mistake?
Sure.
Because if we're not learning, then what are we doing?
It thinks your move is a mistake. It's talking about why castling queenside is risky. It says your queenside pawn structure is a bit loose. Okay, let's try to be a little more specific with ChatGPT. Do you see a danger to your pieces on the D file, if I can use those words? Ah, good catch. Yes, I do see a danger on the D file. But then it goes back to you. With your king on C1, the D file is semi-open and your rook on D1 can become very active. Then it says, right now my knight on D7 is pinned. I'm not sure what knight it's thinking about. So you've confused it. It can't learn like us humans can.
What a shame. Rook D1.
Okay, it did last 20 moves without actually making an illegal move, although it had some illegal thoughts. Rook F4 is not allowed, but it's what it says. So you have the option of putting it out of its misery and capturing the king, or forcing it.
Let's go Rook D8.
Okay, so we'll put Rook F4 on board, and we'll play Rook takes D8. Oh, now we get to have some fun. I'll respond with Rook takes H4, capturing your H-pawn in return and trying to activate my rook.
Well, the rook was just an F4, so it's not completely unreasonable. Okay. I'll try King E6.
Love it. That's the kind of move we can get behind. All right, Rook takes C4, taking a bunch of, it's taking space at least, yeah.
King F7.
Oh, I think I see the illegal checkmate you're going to go for. We'll see if you're thinking the same thing. All right, E takes D5. That one just came out of nowhere.
Okay.
Just take a pawn from the graveyard, put it on top of the knight maybe, and I think I see what maybe is happening.
Queen H5.
Yes,
checkmate.
The queen jumps over the king. And let's see if ChatGPT allows the checkmate. Okay, you might have to cry foul on this one, Magnus. It's playing Rook takes H5. Might be a good time to announce checkmate. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm sorry, that was the first illegal move of the game, but it did very well till now.
Anywhere
Welcome back, everyone, to our coverage of the FIDE World Cup. This is the semifinals and it's tiebreaks time. Will Sindarov qualify to the candidates tournament and to the finals if he manages to make a draw or win in the second game, while the other match between Wei Yi and Andrei Esipenko is still a tie? David, Judith, this is so tense and there is so much at stake. We cannot emphasize how important it is that the players who win today, they qualify to the candidates tournament. And that is a huge prize for any of the players here. Sindarov, now with the white pieces, he only needs a draw. Judith, do you think that will influence his approach to the opening, or will he just play as usual? What do you think he will do now that he only needs a draw to qualify to the candidates and to qualify to the finals?
Going to be playing as if it would be a normal game without necessary result. At the same time, he is of course under control in his thoughts that whenever there is going to be a concrete opportunity to drive the game, steer the game into simplifying position, he's going to do that. Because he knows exactly what's the task. He's professional. He has to not lose in this game, save energy, go to the next round tomorrow for the finals. And then he can forget about all these things, the qualification, because he's there already. And then he has to switch his mind to become the champion of the World Cup. But right now he has to be focusing to stabilize his position and move on into the finals. And of course, his game before, he made a great opening choice. He played very well. He unbalanced his opponent. And basically, he won a straightforward game.
It was very straightforward. And what will be the story in the second game? We are about to figure it out. David, your thoughts on the other clash between Wei Yi and Andrei Esipenko, which is still a tie?
Yeah, that one is much more difficult. For Wei Yi, he'll probably have come armed. He'll have come to the board with some ideas. He played a couple of classical games, of course, against Esipenko. With white, he didn't get much last time out and ended up having to scramble a bit for a draw with some crazy sacrifices towards the end of that game. So maybe we'll see him try and land a first surprise much, much earlier. Here we go, handshake. E4, E5, and actually a Sicilian on the other board. That's nice to see. I was going to say Yakubboev cannot play E5 again, just judging on the classical game where Sindarov forced a draw very, very early on. So we have the Sicilian Najdorf on one board and the Italian on the other. It's going to be lots of tension.
Sorry, but I couldn't resist pointing out the advantage for white on the bar. You see, after H3, immediately, I don't know what is it, 0.5 already? Wow, we can't say the solid Sindarov arrived playing G4.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not solid. Should we check in with the details of that opening and why Black is going knight F to D7? I think it's quite an instructive position to already analyze and see the nuances of this Sicilian defense if we do a quick action replay, David.
Mm-hmm. We'll just go very quickly from the start. Sicilian defense, like you said, and rather than play like early C3s or bishop B5 check, which lots of people do if they just want to draw, Sindarov showing courage by going for an open Sicilian Najdorf. Some forced draw lines, but not so many. H3 chosen, E6, and the main move in this position after G4 is D5, but that leads to simplifications. He cannot allow that. Loads of theory. So knight FD7 is an avoidance move, and here the players just start pushing loads of pawns. Judith, this is quite a well-known position from other branches of the Sicilian, except white normally gets to play H4 in one move. Here it's taken him two moves, so maybe that's Black's argument here, that he's at least a tempo up on some other lines, Queen C7, Knight C6. And what do you make of this? Will Yakubboev get the winning chances he needs?
Well, Yakubboev, I think he has to be happy that this is the position what we are having right now, because this is exactly what he needs to be playing for victory, because he's in a must-win situation. At the same time, for Sindarov, it's home court, I think, these kind of positions. So, but it can be a mess, and well, throwing away 10 pieces, it's not very beneficial, I must say, as you pointed out, that h4 was played in 2 moves. Well, we'll see how can Yakubboev try to mess the position and make things complicated. It's never easy to do it with black because, as you pointed out, after g4, d5 is the most common move, simplifying the position, equalizing the position almost. But that was not an option for black because of the match situation. Knight a5, very sensible idea. Of course, he's not going to exchange pieces. He wants to go probably rook c8, knight c4. He has to come up with some interesting and complicated plans. Also, knight b6, the other knight can support knight c4. So I'm expecting a big fight in this game.
Mm-hmm. Good news for us, Anna, as well as good news for Yakubboev, who actually gets up from the board. He's trying to exert some psychological dominance, showing how confident he is here with black.
He forgot to bring the bottles of water to the board. They're so small. The water bottles at this event are tiny. We have seen players gathering an army of mineral water because you need it. These are long fights, and yes, I think he's got the position that he needs for this must-win situation. Yakubboev needs to win this game with the black pieces to stay in the semifinal tiebreaks. Otherwise, he is going to be the one that will play for the 3rd or 4th place, while Sindarov will make it to the finals. Shall we check in with the other game as well and how the opening evolved in the match between Wei and Esipenko?
Mm-hmm. Let's do that. And you're right, Anna, that he did just go off to get some water. He's back at the board now. Yakubboev on the other clash. Okay, all pieces still on the board. It was the Italian. We probably won't go back from the start. It's not too much has happened. Both players just maneuvering nicely. And now Wei Yi spending a bit of time. He's definitely been the slower of the two in the classical and in the rapid so far. But maybe debating whether to go rook e1, knight f1, whether he needs h3 with white, whether he's going to play knight c4. This is the type of position, Judith, where probably there's no right or wrong answer. So many options, though, on every move.
Yeah, there are a lot of options to play, but I was just wondering whether how much contact the players have with their coaches. And Didwei was told by someone that actually in the final position, he had an opportunity to exchange the bishops and play on and have a very promising advantage with the black pieces, and how much it could have disturbed him to start his second game. What do you think?
If you are Wei Yi's coach, would you try not to tell him that he had a better endgame and he could have continued? Is it something that in a short break between the rapid games is maybe best not to tell the player? What do you think, David?
Yeah, I've never had a second, but I think I would fire the second if they told me in the break that I had a better move or that I was totally winning at the end. Like, give me an opening suggestion, say something motivational. Don't be like, oh, you should have played on, silly boy, bishop d6, and you would have had a winning advantage. Nope, that would be the last thing I would want from a coach. So I don't know. I mean, from my World Cup experiences, they tend to be quite short breaks in the tie breaks. You don't get to really leave the playing venue. So I'm not sure how much contact they have with the coaches, but even if they did, I think most focus would probably be on what comes next. Look to the future, not the past.
Yeah, but probably
for sure. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Judith. I just recalled that we had a short clip that we played a few days ago about Esipenko preparing between the rounds, and that preparation was basically his second with his phone showing a few moves on the mobile screen, and then Esipenko back into the playing hall. So that's about the time they have between the two games, and just a quick exchange of words.
Yeah, but it's interesting what a coach can add in chess, right? Because we know that in other sports, when the coach can scream during the game, water polo or football or many other games, and in chess, of course, they cannot. At the same time, especially in these games when they play the playoff, short-term time control, the player has a lot of emotions going through in the 20 minutes or 25 minutes they have just played. And of course, the player can also ask, hey, I have the feeling I had such a good position. Was I winning? Did I have a clear advantage? And then actually the coach has to say that, well, actually you had some promising, but I mean, he has to be very smart, right? To say not to lie, but also not to say and give any idea for the player that he could have played on, because it's one thing that you had a great position, and it's a completely other thing that actually you could play on and have a great advantage in the final position, right? I mean, that hurts much more than just ruining that you had an opportunity but you missed it, right? And so somehow the coach had to say, if there is something like this, that you had some opportunity, but it was not enough. It was not much. Okay, you had the upper hand. Great for that. And then let's focus on now, because you have the psychological advantage against the opponent, right? So it's because the thing is that at this level, it is so important that if you have a little chance, that you have to be able to grab it, because that's the only way you can win the match, right? So actually for him, he created himself. He found this very nice idea, Queen e6, in what terms to exchange the pieces. He got a little better. It was not much. And then he outplayed it, Esipenko already to a point where actually if bishop d6 would have been played, maybe it would be a decisive game after all, right? We can visualize it that was a point where it could go really to a decisive game. So it's important to have that extra energy when you really have this opportunity to grab it.
Very important indeed, and we hope that way he doesn't know that he should have continued the game. It's probably better for his state of mind. At the same time, he was a bit low on time, and he made the decision of going for a draw in his previous game against Esipenko. Now the situation is very different. Still a bit less time for Wei Yi, but looks like a pleasant position with the knight maneuvering toward the center after he jumped away from c4. There's a potential trade of bishops, and this knight heading toward the d5 or f5 squares.
Yeah, I think in general these positions just slightly more pleasant for white, but of course black's done nothing wrong and should be totally fine. It's just who can come up with a better plan. Yeah, I mean, here queen d7 would be like an easy move. I don't know whether it's worsening anything there. You could take the bishops. I don't think black can play d5 yet, although maybe he's calculating it. If it works, it could be an immediate problem solver. But d5, you have to look at like b5 and some issues maybe with the black pawns a bit loose. Judith, maybe this is the time he's going to start calculating and playing a bit more direct.
I don't know. D5 is always something I would consider, but I know that in these positions, it's not so easy to break out so fast, because those pawns on A4, B4 is very much standing for giving a side attack of B5, and the E5 can be vulnerable. Queen D7 is played. I'm wondering if after knight D5, after knight D5, simply bishop D5, I guess. And that would ease the position and the situation for black. Yeah. Take a knight e7, and suddenly the b3 bishop is not very useful. So after queen d7.
Will we see at any point bishop c2 to try to push d4? Because I always like those ideas for white, but I never know when is it the right moment to go for it.
Yeah, I quite like that one. If he was in a must-win situation, I would say that's a good idea. Like, keep the pieces on the board. Maybe queen d2 to support b4, and then break in the center. Another thing they often do in these positions is they play like bishop takes bishop, queen takes, and then they go like b5 and take, and then they go like c4 and try to argue that maybe it's a bit more comfortable. But probably here it's not enough pieces left on the board.
Yeah, it doesn't seem much. c6 is also possible, maybe.
Yeah, just c6 and probably just dead equal.
But if white wanted to take and exchange the bishop, he should have done it before queen d7, I think, to have the rook on e6. a5
That's a good point, yes.
At the same time, after a5, d5 can be considered maybe, because b5 is not possible, though bishop a4 can be an unpleasant pin there.
Ooh.
Okay.
Esipenko takes the bishop before he can go away to a4 or c2, and now goes for the knight maneuver. Can we also check in with the other game, by the way, because Sindarov has spent 9 minutes on his last decision. The position is still looking promising for white, but the time management is quite concerning when it's a rapid game and your opponent has 2 times more on the clock. 14 minutes for Yakubboev, 7.5 for Sindarov. Sindarov with a draw is in the finals and he qualifies to the candidates tournament. Huge pressure on Yakubboev in this must-win situation, but it almost feels like Sindarov is more nervous, at least from the time management. It looks like it.
I don't really understand even why he was spending so much time. What was his worry? Did he really think that it's such an important moment to decide? Maybe he was more thinking also about the psychological aspect, like what would give the hardest game for Yakubboev.
He was probably wondering why he spent 9 minutes thinking, oh, I should have played the bishop b5 check Sicilian. Oh, I should have played something d3 Sicilian.
He does seem very nervous. I think his body language, Sindarov, he only needs a draw, but that's when you feel it. You are so close to getting what you want that it starts hitting you and can make you really nervous that you're about to qualify to the candidates tournament and make it to the finals. Queen to c7, according to the computer, is not the best move for black.
Yes, because I believe that when you keep your queen on d8, the main sense of it to play rook c8. And after rook c8, you have a very strong threat of rook c3. And of course, if you even get the central pawn for black on e4, it's definitely a great sacrifice. But in many cases, it happens. It's just you can sacrifice, and it's ruining the structure so much of white. So queen c7, f5, immediate hit against the e6 pawn, and now black has to make some decisions. Whether is he going to push e5 or I don't even know what else can he do. I believe it's almost a must to play e5 because, for example, if knight c4, then I think white just simply takes bishop c4, queen c4, f takes e6, takes maybe queen g4.
This looks
but
bad
also
for black.
even queen e2 or something. Maybe you can even simplify that way. But queen g4, I wouldn't mind that much. I mean, the king is very vulnerable there on e8 also. Sometimes g6, and if the knight has to move to f5 to c5, it's not going to jump to e5 so easily after that.
Queen's almost trapped.
It's not really fun for black.
I think I know what he was calculating, by the way. Both players maybe, but especially Sindarov. When he spent 9 minutes, I think he was looking at rook c8, f5, and he was trying to work out whether like this was something he should go for with white. Because after e5, maybe knight e6 is the type of scary move you might consider, like this type of variation. And okay, eval bar isn't sure, but I think he was.
I thought you wanted to
really
take
awesome.
back on e6 after knight e6, fe.
Just fe. All this. All this.
But no, it's not good because I don't have queen h5, g6, knight c5 simply.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe he was looking at some forcing lines, but rook c8 is such a more natural way to try and, especially if you need to win, like to try and take the knight, like queen c7 and then to stop. That's odd from Yakubboev. I should mention Yakubboev, like he's an e5 player for most of his career, like in the last few years, especially with black. So the fact he's playing a Sicilian Najdorf in a must-win situation means he's maybe less comfortable.
He certainly seems to be less comfortable. Both players are very nervous for obvious reasons. And in the other match, by the way, if we check in, there's also some progress in the game between Wei Yi and Andrei Esipenko, and things are clarifying a bit more after the trades that happened with an open d file now for white's rook.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at first glance, it seems to be a very nice position for white. At the same time, it's symmetrical. The e4 pawn is also kind of something that white has to look after and defend it. So, well, now rook d8 would be a blunder, right? Is it black to move? Yeah, it's black to move.
Yakubboev, by the way, took on f5. He didn't push e5. He takes on f5.
My God.
That's very concerning. That cannot really be a good move, can it?
Well, I don't know. I can say that maybe this is one of the moves. It shows that he's not a Sicilian player.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point, Judith. It's not a move that a Sicilian player would ever want to make. And the blue arrow appears for white, showing bishop to d4. For Sindarov is the way to keep the advantage. Looks like a natural move to attack the rook in the corner and not allow black to develop comfortably.
And it's not only that, but the problem is maybe after bishop d4, if black has to play knight e5 or rook g8, that white goes knight e3 and transfers his knight occupying the d5 essential square, which is always a problem after the e6 pawn is moved away, either capturing on f5 or pushing e5. The main problem is the d5 weakness. And if white can exploit that, then black has a very difficult position.
Yeah. And we'll see Sindarov play that, surely. He does play the best move.
Maybe for Sindarov, it was a good investment spending their 9 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It pays off.
Yeah.
It is definitely working out for him, and he's now making his moves a lot faster and a lot more confidently after having calculated a lot of these positions. Looks very promising for Sindarov, who only needs a draw, by the way. Just a quick reminder to everyone, Sindarov only needs a draw to qualify to the finals and to qualify to the candidates tournament, while Wei and Esipenko, that match is still wide open. Whoever wins this game is advancing to the finals and qualifies to the candidates tournament. In case of a draw in the Wei-Esipenko match, we're going to see more rapid games and potentially blitz as well.
Well, I can't say I would put too much money on Yakubboev, to tell you the truth. Also, looking at the body language, it doesn't help me to to put a lot of money on him, not only the position. Though the other game, it's very interesting. Why did black play king f8? Because rook d8 was not possible immediately because of exchange and knight e5, the tactics. So the e7 square has to be protected, right? At the same time, it's very rare that I would see a move like king f8. Did you see anything similar, David or Anna, in such a structure?
Good point. And can we show the tactic real quick? Because it's so beautiful, the one that Judith highlighted, and so instructive. Looks very natural to bring the rook to the open file, immediately wanting to trade, but it would have fallen due to this tactical pattern. So pretty. The deflection, the knight from g6 is the one guarding the pawn on e5, but it's also the one that's protecting the e7 square, and this knight fork will win the queen at the end of the line. Beautiful tactics, and that's why king f8 is so strong. It brings the king closer, guarding the e7 square, but unusual. You are right, Judith. It's not something that we see often when there's still so many pieces on the board. This is not an endgame yet.
And I don't like the move, by the way. I don't know. Somehow I feel good about it from white side. David, you don't have this feeling?
I
don't know.
I don't hate the move. I'd probably play something like it myself, just because it feels like black's only one move away from getting enough grip on the position to equalize. But then again, tactically I would feel uneasy. Like queen on a3, there'll be some ideas. Yeah. Also, white now gets time to play like g3, h4. I don't know. The black knight's a bit uncomfortable. He does play g3. It does feel quite slow. I mean, I think we would all take white just because more space and knight on f5. But yeah, rook d8. It's just a question of what black does next. He can put a rook on the open file. White will just maybe even allow that open file to be taken. But what next for black? It's very unclear.
Well, okay, but after rook a d8, what's next for white? Because if you go h4, then rook takes d1 and the e4 can be hanging. Rook d3.
By the way, some major updates in the other game that Yakubboev has ended up sacrificing the rook on h8 after bishop d4, and now is going for this crazy opening of the position with d5. Exchange up for white. The central pawns have disappeared. There's a lot going on.
Let's jump in. Judith, let's break down these tactics we've just seen in a bit more detail. Quick action replay. The knights landed on d5, but we left it with e takes f5. We said, oh, ugly. Knight takes g6. Bishop d4, the best move. And if rook g8 or knight e5, the white knight was coming around to a beautiful outpost. So he took that knight off the board, giving up his rook. d5, threatening this check. This is clever, very clever from Yakubboev, but this was blocked. And after takes, apparently queen h5, by far the best move. Knight d5 blows some of the advantage, but still, I would say most natural move. And Judith, tactics look like they're going in white's favor.
Yeah, but at the same time, I can't blame Yakubboev to go this direction because he wants to make a chaos on the chessboard and look for his chances. Knight d5, of course, was played because white wants to simplify the position. And if he can simplify, exchange some pieces, especially if one day he can exchange the queens, then halfway the candidate spot is in his pocket for Sindarov, right? So here we see some of the decisions made. Actually, for black side, it's all decisions are made that he's in a must-win situation. While for white, we also see some moves, the decision made because the draw is enough. So queen c5 attacking the knight. Now, for example, b4 is something maybe can finish kind of the game. Don't you think so? That it's a good option to simplify, exchange the queens?
Yeah, looks good.
Looks
Knight
quite
f6 maybe
tempting.
as well.
Yeah, knight f6 maybe is the best. It's just once the queens are off, it's white is even closer to the aim. Knight f6 takes, bishop takes f6. Maybe. Yeah, and then also, of course, you have b4 as a threat. And also rook c3. Yeah, there are questions. What is the smoothest way of... What would you play, b4 or knight f6?
I would probably play knight f6.
Knight f6,
How about
yeah?
you, Anna?
Knight
I just like
f6
simplicity.
too. It's just do something where I'm not hanging all my pieces. I feel like I could blunder here as white.
Okay, knight f6 takes. Yeah, bishop d4.
I think he's
is
reaching
also-
for the knight and does
Yeah.
give the check. So trade on f6. Now bishop takes f6.
It's difficult to stop queen d4 also for black.
Yeah. Probably knight c4.
That's
he would
probably
reach-
the biggest problem, isn't it? That queen d4 is next move for white, with the exchange up, forcing the trade of queens. Knight c4 is on the board.
These are strong pawns, though, the f and e pawns. Like queen d4, I don't know, can black play like f4 or maybe take the queens off and then f4? At least hope that the pawns will sit on really nice squares and some compensation. I don't think it's over.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
He's
Bishop
taking
takes
the
c4.
knight. Bishop takes c4, and the computer doesn't really agree with white's decision, saying that now black is back in the game with a pair of bishops and those monster pawns.
Black's better.
Well, it's clear what Sindarov is playing for.
He wants the draw. Take an f4, and suddenly those pawns are super strong. Anything could
And
happen
it's a
still.
blue arrow showing that that is the best move for black. The queen trade, any other move would be advantage for white. Not decisive advantage, but some advantage for white if the queens are on the board.
It's better to take now before white gets castled or rook d1, and the white rook will take back on d4. And some mating threats against the black king.
Yeah, at the same time, it's not so easy to make this move in his situation. Because after queen d4, you have to believe in it that, okay, you go f4 and you have not only compensation, but some chances for your opponent to go wrong.
Yeah. What's the count? He has one pawn for the exchange. He's got the bishop pair. He was reaching for the queens. I think he's going to take them off.
Yeah, but
Yakubboev
how do you want to create chances for black? Takes f4 long castle, or just rook d1.
Yeah.
e3 is not really possible because of white gives up the bishop. If you go f3, then the blockade is so strong. Black square bishop on e3, king on f2, impossible to break. And actually, maybe for white, after f4, white can also go bishop e5, provoking f3, and going back bishop d4, then go king f2.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just...
strong blockade.
Yeah, and there is no way that white can go wrong to lose the game. Maybe he's not going to win the game, but that's not his aim either.
Yeah, maybe black should be putting like the king on take, put the king on e6, put the bishop on d5, do away ye, put the rook on b8, remind white's bishop that it's got duties on the b file, backward pawn. And from there, it's unclear what white's plan is. Then black can start to build bishop d6, f4, maybe something like this.
So you want to say king d7 now?
Yeah, I've changed my mind. You convinced me with f4. Maybe it's too early to push and get blockaded. I'll still probably get blockaded, but just with an active king at least.
Yeah. I
like your idea. Yeah, that king maneuver is very useful, and you can push later too. I think that's what Yakubboev might try to keep things flexible, and he needs to try to win this game with an exchange down, a bishop and a pawn to compensate for the rook. Both players are so nervous. You can see them fidgeting, moving around a lot. There's just an atmosphere of high stakes, huge pressure, big tension in this game. And king to d7 is on the board, the king maneuver.
Great move.
Yeah, I've played both of them over the board. I think they're fidgeters in general, so we shouldn't read too much into it. I've played Yakubboev in classical, and he was fidgeting from move one, so I think his default setting. But obviously, the stakes being high, biggest day of their lives, everything probably increases the likelihood that they're going to get nervous, going to make mistakes. But so far, he's fought well. I think a great practical idea to sacrifice that exchange on h8. And there we go. He's walking around again, trying to release the tension.
I think he has no other.
It's just that it looks like Yakubboev does like to stand up from here and there to release the tension, try to be less nervous. While for Sindarov, he's fidgeting a lot and he's moving a lot in his chair. Those big projectors, of course, help the players to stay in the game even when they are away from the board. Not much time left. 3 minutes for Sindarov and 5 minutes for Yakubboev.
But I think it's also, for example, for me, it was helping that when there was a chaotic position, let's say, and things are unfolding very fast, to look at it from your opponent's perspective. And as he's playing with black, if he looks at the screen, he sees it from the white side. And it looks quite different from his side, from looking at it from black or white. Though I know there are some players who don't care and it doesn't give them any other perspective. Now f4 is played. But maybe it's still too early. He's
sacrificing the pawn. He's giving up his c4 pawn, saying that is not something he's worried about, that the pawn would be captured.
Very interesting. I might have tried to save it or protect it, or I don't know. Bishop d5, rook c8, there were moves.
But David, you love pawns.
I know.
You love pawns. You're not generous with pawns.
I'm just not generous in general, but I guess white should take it, right? Why not? More for the b file than for the pawn itself.
And that's what Sindarov is doing indeed. So it's now only a bishop against a rook, but those connected pass pawns are what black is trying to claim as compensation for the exchange down.
Ooh, e3, best move. He's reaching for one of the pawns.
I think he will go e3. And that's actually that...
Threatening bishop g2, and that rook is almost out of squares.
Look at that.
Wow. Wow. But there are issues here. If you go king e6, there's ideas of white playing bishop takes e3, yeah? Yeah.
Takes, king f5, rook d7, and also grabbing the f7 pawn, right?
It's a way of bailing out for Sindarov, but also, yeah, if he collects all of Black's pawns, then I think all the risk of losing will suddenly disappear. This isn't easy suddenly. What to play?
No, because where to go with the king? Seems there is no good spot.
King c6 looks ugly. Just blocks like rook f3 maybe ideas. King e6.
Very ugly. The computer
bishop
says that
e5.
black should allow this, that black should continue with bishop to g2 and allow the bishop takes e3 check and then step away to c6. But good luck entering that line that starts with allow the discover check and your pawn being captured. It's true that after that, the bishop and the rook will be hanging at the same time, but rook to h2? What's going on in that line?
Maybe bishop f3, but maybe objectively is the best, and it's going to be a draw, but that's not. Oh, king c8, look at that. Oh, poor guy. Bishop b6. Isn't that a problem?
Bishop b6, I guess you can play bishop e7, but...
After bishop e7, I would go bishop e3.
And then you take. Very, very clever.
Well, it's not... I'm not sure it's too clever, because you take and bishop c5, rook e8 check, king c7.
You don't get the f pawn at least.
Maybe it's not...
Yeah. But
it looks like a great move for white would be just to push the h pawn to create more space for the rook.
Wow.
So that it could go to h4 instead of having to go to h2. A very active rook suddenly. If h5, bishop g2, rook h4, all of white's pieces will be playing and active.
But that's not an easy move, but it's a very efficient one. And also g6 is a threat probably to open up the h file, entering with the rook to the h8 or h7. h5 is a very painful move.
Yeah. If he plays h5...
Is he going to find it? Is he going to find it? It looks like it's decisive advantage after h5.
He deserves to be in the candidates if he plays h5. I think it's just that cooler move.
And if he plays h5, he will be.
Yep, he will be there. Yakubboev, I think he just rushed it. He rushed it. He needed his rook in the game somehow. One extra tempo in all of these variations, like rook on e8 now, and black would be probably just winning. Oof.
Yeah, it's only one piece.
Ooh,
bishop to e5 by Sindarov. Still a good move, but not an immediate knockout with the rook coming into the game, which would have been h5, rook h4. And in the other game, we see a knight jump to d5 looks a lot more level, that endgame between Wei Yi and Andrei Esipenko. But this is it. This is the match, the game that we need to focus on, because if Sindarov wins or draws, he's through to the finals and he qualifies to the candidates tournament. Yakubboev in a must-win situation, being an exchange down. But now bishop to g2. He needs to play bishop to g2 before the white pawns start being pushed on the king side and the rook can be more active with rook h4.
So actually what happens on bishop g2? Rook h2, can black go f3? Or just simply bishop d4 white plays and allowing f2, king e2?
Yeah, it feels like white can give back the exchange at some point just to get rid of all the pawns as well in the center. And then there's zero risk for white, which is probably what explains why he played bishop e5 rather than h5. He sees a way to get to safety, and that's enough. He's going to play bishop g2 because he has to. Like f3 immediately, white can probably just play like bishop f4 or rook d3 or something to attack the black pawns. And he goes in. We're going to find out. Rook takes bishop. Keeping it simple.
Immediately giving up the rook for the bishop indeed, and then playing king e2 to start collecting the black pawns.
Rook g1. He's going to take this one. It's like, yeah. Path of least resistance. He's got 1 minute. He wants to keep things simple. It makes a lot of sense for Sindarov.
So what about bishop c5, rook g1, king goes out, and rook d8?
And bishop back to c3, I guess. I don't know.
To play it solid, yeah.
Play it solid. Bishop on c3, then white's rook is free to run around the board.
And by the way, we do have a quick behind-the-scenes clip of what it's like to prepare for these games and what it's like for the supporters. Sindarov's brother and second waiting outside anxiously, watching the game on their phone. This is such a tense moment. Javokir Sindarov about to qualify to the finals and about to qualify to the candidates tournament. His brother, among others, in the support team of Javokir Sindarov. Will he manage to qualify now that he has given back the rook, given back the exchange, and he's trying to pick up the remaining pawns of black?
I think he's there. I think he's like the A pawn alone is not going to be enough for black to create real winning chances. White's bishop's so strong. The E and G pawns are doomed. How to win this ever? The white, I just don't see a blunder possible in the near future. Very professional from Sindarov. Probably a draw now with best play.
Only a minute left for Yakubboev. What is his best chance? What is he going to try to do in a must-win situation?
Yeah. To bring the king to c6 maybe, and after that to try to push the pawn, bishop c5, exchange at some point.
He's going to do it. The white rook goes for the G pawn. He's got to do something along the lines of a5, a4. It's just so slow.
Rook d8 would be an interesting trap. White cannot take maybe on e3 because rook e8. That would be a trap.
But maybe
rook e3 threat.
Yeah.
That could be the reason why the computer criticizes somewhat this rook g1 decision. So there's still tension. There's still ways in which white can go wrong. There's only 18 seconds left for Nodirbek Yakubboev. He plays king to c6.
Yep. Very logical. He wants to play bishop c5, as Judith mentioned, but he might just be a bit too slow here. White's going to take on g2, take on e3, rook on f2. Black has weak pawns.
Yeah, black's f7 pawn is also something which will be attacked.
White takes on g2 first, threatening to capture now the e3 pawn as well, and then go rook f2.
Ooh, rook e8. Maybe he should have taken on e3 with the king, last move. Because g2 wasn't running away, but e3 is now slightly more difficult to capture. Oh,
h5, g6.
He just wants to trade everything. He doesn't care. All he needs is a draw. Javokir Sindarov is 1 foot in that door that qualifies him to the finals and to the candidates tournament.
Yeah,
g4, planning rook f4.
He knows the draw is enough. The bishop's going to go back. Okay, continues for a while. Moving his rook back now. He's going to swing the other way.
Yeah, because after a5, rook a1. But then bishop e5.
Yakubboev with 9 seconds on the clock. He plays bishop to e7.
Rook a1. Rook a1 will be Sindarov's choice, I think.
And then rook a5,
looking in that direction.
Yeah.
He's definitely looking in that direction, and that would be a very pragmatic decision here. Where all he needs is a draw to qualify to the finals, to the candidates tournament. 19 years old only, Javokir Sindarov, and he would be the first player to be confirmed for the finals and for the candidates tournament spot. Will he play rook a1? Is he looking at anything else? A minute and 14 seconds left for Sindarov. He's about to grab the rook.
Yeah, he's fidgeting so
rook
much.
f1. Rook f1 is also interesting. Rook f1 grabbing on f7 and bishop g5, rook f7, and whatever the h pawn is moved, rook a7. The a6 pawn is attacked. So there are several ideas to choose from. But rook a1, I understand that seems to be, or even after rook a1, king b7 to go rook f1.
Yeah. Rook f1 ideas look like they also force a draw at the very minimum. Sindarov, he knows that one or two accurate moves. He goes for that plan you mentioned, Judith. Rook e4 is the idea from Yakubboev. He wants to go round with his rook and give a check.
Well, there is still a passed pawn on e3, right?
Will we see rook and bishop versus rook for the candidates?
Well, Yakubboev did not stand this good in the whole game so far. It's the most promising moments for him.
That is true, that finally black has some counter chances with that pass pawn, and white cannot grab the pawn because it would fall for rook e4, pinning the bishop. To be fair, maybe white could even try that, to give up his bishop and then collect pawns.
Ooh, that's possible, but a bit scary with no time on the clock. He's going to take on h7. He's going to allow a check. Oh, and he's going to put his bishop back on f2 if black pushes the pawn forward now.
Actually, not only covering the e1, but grabbing the pawn in the next move.
That might be the accuracy he needed there. Does black have more? Does black have anything else?
Rook f2, king g3. Or king g4.
Or king g4, exactly.
Somehow the d4 bishop is extremely powerful in defense.
Apparently king g3 loses.
Will he go toward g4? Yes, king to g4, attacking the bishop.
It's worth pointing out king g3 would have lost there due to rook
But
f1.
hold on, rook g2, you go back king f3, and after e2 you have bishop f2. So this is the draw moment. Perpetuate check, because there is otherwise black might be even losing.
Yeah. This could be it. This could be not the end for Yakubboev. He'll still get another chance in the third place playoff, but this could be the end of this contest at least. He tries e2. Bishop goes back. And now he's the one fighting for the draw.
Well, rook h2 still. Probably rook g7.
Also, Wei Yi is really low on time, by the way, and he is fighting for a draw as well, because the tables have turned, and now Esipenko is putting pressure on the Chinese grandmaster in this endgame.
Oh, Wei Yi. It looked like he was slightly better for so long, but he's just way too low on time.
He was pressing for such a long time.
Yeah.
But now he might be in trouble.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this game looks like it's fizzling towards a draw on the left board there. Sindarov's calculated everything. King aim, pawn end game. His pawn is strong enough. The h-pawn. Is he a dead drawn ending? Oh, where to go? Maybe we stay here for a while. The results could happen.
Yes, let's look at both games at the same time, because everything is on the line. Sindarov about to qualify to the finals and to the candidates tournament, while Esipenko has a better chance against Wei Yi.
Wow. Pawn up. Esipenko, this is a golden opportunity. The other game, though, we're going to see a bunch of exchanges. The most dead drawn king and pawn end game I've seen in a long time.
And Sindarov picked up the white queen a couple of moves ago just to signal that he might have the intention of promoting his pawn if you don't want to draw. Of course, this is great news for Javokir Sindarov. While for Wei Yi, he has to try really hard not to lose this game. And Esipenko, now with the check on the second rank, I don't think he's going to repeat.
No chance. Esipenko has more time. He's a pawn up, about to be 2 pawns up. The other game in the meantime, it is a handshake.
It's confirmed. Javokir Sindarov is through to the finals of the World Cup, and he's the first player to qualify to the candidates tournament. Only 19 years old, from Uzbekistan. He makes it all the way to the finals. What a tiebreak this has been, while the other one is still going. We need to swap right now to that endgame. Is Wei Yi in trouble?
He is in trouble. They are both under a minute, so we'll see how it unfolds, because there is some check rook h6, if I see it correctly, that well, for the moment 2 pawns up for black, right? But it may be not going to be for a long time. But it's Wei who is fighting for a draw.
Very much so, and he needs to be accurate. Down to 10 seconds again, Wei Yi. He's just been playing way too slowly in the classical and in the rapid. Esipenko, golden opportunity. He needs to apparently take the pawn with his knight. There we go. Finds the best move. Just
Wei
in order
played
to
that
not
move
let
with
things
3
active.
seconds on the clock. He's so low on time. There's a 10-second increment only.
Oof. Rook takes pawn. White's knight comes back. No good discovered checks since the rook is hanging. But this is still scary. Just 2 clear pawns.
I mean, White is very active, but is it going to be enough to save the game? With 2 pawns down.
I think he's unlikely to save it. I think black is more than 50% favorite to win this game now. The other result being a draw. No chance white wins, of course.
And he's going down on time.
Oof. He made that move with not much left. 1 second left, and he did it so coolly.
1 second. Wei Yi on the verge of losing on time, but the position is still, unfortunately, very, very difficult for him, even if he did not lose yet. With a 10-second increment, getting him some extra time to think.
Big mistake, though.
Knight d3. Knight d3, knight d5.
1 second, Wei Yi. Oh my god, he made it with 1 second again. Oh, wow. And the knight's coming to c4 or d5, hitting the black rook as well. Esipenko, if he brought his rook away to a2, b2, apparently he was totally winning on the last move. But he's hung his rook! He's hung his rook! Oh my god!
My god!
His rook, Andrei Esipenko, in an endgame where he was pressing, he blundered his rook, and Wei Yi makes it through to the finals and qualifies to the candidates tournament. Goodness me, what we have just witnessed. David, the rook was attacked and was never moved.
Backward knight moves, they trick even the best players in the world. What a crazy moment. I think Esipenko was looking at Wei Yi's clock. Wei Yi played 2-3 moves in a row with 1 second left. He knew he was winning, he knew he was 2 pawns up. And he just took his eye off the ball, or he forgot, or he panicked, whatever it was. That is one of the most costly blunders he'll ever make. And now he really needs to win the 3rd place playoff, otherwise he'll look back on that moment, Esipenko, for the rest of his career. Wei Yi, wow. Needed a miracle there, and he got a miracle.
He did get a miracle, which leads to the following results. Wei Yi not only defended that endgame, but with the rook blunder of Andrei Esipenko, now the Chinese Grandmaster is through to the finals, wins his tiebreaks, and Yakubboev Sindarov also is through by drawing his game, the 2nd game, and winning the 1st rapid game. It is Yakubboev Sindarov and Wei Yi in the finals, while Nodirbek Yakubboev and Andrei Esipenko will play for the 3rd place. And that 3rd place is still a qualification spot to the candidates. I do want to remind everyone that we have a sale going on before making it to the beginning of December. It's important that you get your Chess Up annual sale on if you want to save $100 on your Chess Up board. Make sure to use the promo code CHESS or !Chess Up in the chat to unlock a $100 discount on your Chess Up 2 boards, which, by the way, has built-in Wi-Fi, a touch-up screen, and touch-sense pieces. I played on this board in Mexico at the chess.com meetup, and I managed to beat Grandmaster Aman Hambleton, so I have really good experience playing on the Chess Up board, and I would highly recommend that you check out what this board can do for your chess. Now, when it comes to the chess in Goa, India, we have the seconds, the brothers here, the Sindarov support group with Sindarov's brother, as well as the coach, the 2nd of Sindarov, Grandmaster Madaminov. Everyone's celebrating the draw in game 2 by Yakubboev, 19 years old only, and he's through to the finals. And, of course, qualifies to the Candidates Tournament 2026. Judith, your thoughts on what we have witnessed today and that rook blunder by Andrei Esipenko?
Well, I'm speechless on that one because we were just trying to figure out how is Esipenko missed his win and he gave away his win and blundered the pawn out of the 2 extra pawns, and then suddenly, just in a fraction of a second, we see a blunder of a rook. And I felt watching it live, the faces, I could feel that they were so tired. Both players are so very tired that I think Esipenko couldn't even be upset so much. I mean, he was just so the way he was looking. So it was a very upsetting moment to witness.
David, same question to you. It was such a tense game, and we thought Esipenko was pushing. He had 2 extra pawns at certain moments of the end game, and then he goes wrong, and not only goes wrong to losing the advantage, but losing his rook.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I think we've all been there at some point in our careers, probably not with such high stakes. I mean, literally the biggest game of his life, the biggest day of his life, 1 or 2 accurate moves away from getting into the candidates, and to see it all fall apart like that is tough. But that shows nerves playing a part. Like Judith said, tiredness. Esipenko's played the most games out of anyone at the World Cup. Tiebreak after tiebreak. That was his 28th game, I think, of the tournament so far. More to come, of course, tomorrow. But yeah, for it to end like that it's so tough. I think Wei Yi didn't even want to win like that. He would have rather won in any other way. But that's chess, that's life, and yeah, it's not over for Esipenko. That's the main thing. Many congratulations to Wei Yi, to Sindarov, of course, but it's not over for the other 2 yet.
Not over, and that will bring a very interesting situation for us to cover and for the fans to root for, because the 3rd place in a tournament usually is not the one that is the most exciting match, is it? But the situation is there are 3 qualification spots to the Candidates Tournament. So what we are going to see tomorrow is a clash for the champions title, who will win the World Cup, for the 1st place. But the other match for the 3rd place is almost even more precious when it comes to qualifying to the Candidates Tournament. Judith, how do you see this bracket and this very unique situation that the 3rd place matters so much in this tournament?
Well, actually, I'm looking forward so much to the final days, the upcoming 2 days, and possibly a 3rd final day with a playoff, because Sindarov, it is quite amazing to see him as a 19-year-old to climb up in this way in this tournament, and that he has a spot in the candidates, which is 1 step closer to his dream to become a world champion. And maybe we are going to see him fire on the chessboard because he has no pressure anymore, right? He's in there, so he can give all in. And he's a young, talented kid. Of course, now he says, okay, I'm in the candidates. I want to win the World Cup. I mean, after all, to win such an event is quite impressive. And it makes a big difference if you're winning it or you're second. So I think he's going to switch his mind and go for it. Wei, of course, great congratulations for him also. He fought it out. I mean, he had some incredible games and fighting spirit. At the same time, as I said, I think it was already, we can see that he became tired, which I did not feel in Sindarov's case, for example. And for Esipenko, of course, it's a big upset, but I think he knows it, so he'll tough. He's going to be recovering and get all his energy back, and the mindset should be there to fight it out. And of course, he still has his possibility to be in the candidates. But of course, both matches we'll be watching with a lot of excitement.
And that's going to be the next 3 days potentially. There is no rest for the wicked. There is no day off tomorrow. The players will be back to play in the finals and in the match for the 3rd place. We do have an interview, I believe, with the 2nd of Sindarov. So let's head over to Goa and listen to some celebratory words from Grandmaster Madaminov.
Like now Sindarov is through the
I'm very
candidates.
nervous. I'm very nervous, first of all. I wanted to come here to Goa from the first day, but due to my education, I wasn't able to come. But I told him, if we go to semifinals, I will be there. So I am here with my grandfather and also grandmother also here. We are very happy and we are cheering. I'm waiting for him right now.
This is his brother, no?
It's already too long. I hope he will be in 5 minutes already. I'm too nervous. Yeah. But we will try. We're in the finals also.
Yes. In the finals is way, but okay, it's all later. Yeah. For now, maybe it's time for some celebrations.
It's already way or?
Yes, yeah, way.
Esipenko just lost. Oh, feel bad for him. Yeah. I think he will try his best.
The entire crew is there, brother, father, seconds. Isn't it great to see when you have so much support? And a lot of the players would be going to an event like the World Cup, of course, with their support team. But for Sindarov, only 19 years old and he's through to the finals. David, what are your thoughts on his performance so far and his chances in the finals against Wei Yi?
Yeah, it's been amazing seeing Sindarov's journey. Like this last 12 months alone, this 2025 calendar year, it's been a breakout for him, doing so well on the freestyle tour, doing well in classical, crossing 2700 earlier this year, first time. And yeah, he's on a real roll. But it's no coincidence. Like chess in Uzbekistan has boomed ever since 2022 when they won the Olympiad gold medals, and Nodibek Abdusattorov, Nodibek Yakubboev, who's still got a chance, and Sindarov, of course. They're getting so much support, great teams around them, and yeah, it doesn't happen by chance that players have breakout years like this. It's a lot of hard work, and there we see the celebrations, rightfully so. I think he's got a good chance.
Rightfully so, indeed. Yeah. I believe so. And Judith pointed out that he's the one with more energy, it looks like, because this event has been so long. We started at the beginning of November, on November the 1st, and now we are through nearly to the very end of the month. The finals will take place from tomorrow on, 2 days or potentially even 3 days if we need speed chess tiebreaks. This has been just such a thrilling tiebreak to witness. And Judith, when it comes to tension moments like what we witnessed between Wei Yi and Andrei Esipenko, the fatigue, what do you think Esipenko needs to do to get ready for tomorrow's match? Because the third place matters so much for the candidates' qualification.
Well, the first most important thing is, I think, for him somehow to be extremely efficient in getting some rest and switch off his brain from whatever happened today. It was a flash of it's a blackout. It happens. It can happen. So he shouldn't blame himself at all. Basically, he had a bad day, bad few hours, not even a bad day. He had a bad few hours. And of course, it's very difficult to adjust it and to say and to admit it to yourself. But I mean, you just have to let it go. You still have to be very proud of yourself being in the semifinals, reaching the semifinals. We know, we've seen, we say it. But of course, it's very hard to say it to yourself in such a moment. But I hope he has not only himself, but friends and coach who can help him in this recovery, because now, of course, he's chasing time. Time is very important. He doesn't have a week time to recover. He has few hours to recover, to leave everything behind him, and then just think about it. Well, the best I would say, I think, that try to enjoy the games. Try to focus on the chess, give in all the best chess you can. And then after the last game finishes, you look around and you can cry, you can scream, you can in your bitterness or in your happiness, but just let it go and get into the flow of chess and enjoy the game. That's the best he can do.
David, would you echo those thoughts? Do you have any tricks or advice for how to recover from a defeat where you blundered your rook?
Judith said it all. That was my one biggest weakness when I was more active as a player. I found it so difficult to step away from the moment, to get out of my own head. But that's where the support network comes in. That's where the family, the coaches, whoever it is for Esipenko and for Yakubboev, they need to do what they can to help, not to invade the space too much, give the time to get over things. But yeah, just to reset totally. It's a brand new day. It's a 3-day potentially shootout now for a candidate spot. There's still plenty of chances. And it's been a long tournament. It's just finding those last reserves of energy now.
Such a long tournament. I don't know how Sindarov does it, by the way. Like, Judith, what you said, I think, about his energy levels is true. Is it the young age? He's 19 only, and it looks like he has only just started the tournament. Yes, he was nervous. He did seem very nervous, but in the end, it doesn't show on the moves he makes that much. He makes inaccuracies, perhaps, but he's the one who has been playing very consistently and converting his advantages, even though he's the youngest player in the field.
Yeah, but I believe that, of course, stress is everybody. All of us have stress. Of course, chess players are very stressed when it comes to competition, and when the higher the stakes are, the more difficult it becomes, right? At the same time, stress can be fueling your adrenaline, and it gives you extra energy, and it can also push you down. And I think when we see a youngster like Sindarov, this is what we see, that he is shaking his leg, he's picking pieces and throwing it in his head. So you see all these stressful movements, what he does. At the same time, he's on a level where it still inspires him and gives extra energy and focus in the game. And of course, you see that he has such a passion, dedication, into the game, that I think he's 24/7 looking at chess, and he's simply enjoying it. And of course, when you win, you enjoy it even much more.
Great points there. And when it comes to Wei Yi, David, your thoughts on that finals matchup? We have discussed Sindarov and his performance. Wei Yi also very consistent. Today, his tiebreak wasn't as clean and as smooth as Sindarov's, but he's the one who made it through. He's the one who had the better nerves, even in a worse endgame that he had to defend.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes you might be feeling exhausted. You might be on your last legs. You might think, oh, how am I going to find the energy to survive? And then you get a lucky break like that. And suddenly you forget about everything. You forget how your body, your mind feels. You forget that you're a bit slower than normal. And I mean, he's been very consistent. I think one of the most stable players throughout this whole event. He's had tie breaks, sure. He looks calm. He's played very decently in the classical games. I think for Wei Yi now, he'll believe he's a 50-50 maybe in the final against Sindarov, and he's done the hard work, so nothing to lose. I think last year's World Championship match, Gukesh against Ding, is going to be inspiring for both of the two finalists. For Sindarov, because he's so young and Gukesh was so young, he'll believe that it's the time for the youngsters. And Wei Yi, because he'll think, okay, if my good friend Ding can become world champion, I can become world champion too. I know they study together still, and maybe they still help each other out. So I think it's nice to see those two in the candidates, and whatever happens in the final now, many congratulations to them. But it's going to be that weird feeling of us following the third place playoff just as much as the big clash, the big final.
That's what we will do indeed. And it's two new names in the candidates tournament. The third name too will be a new face. So this event will produce 3 players who have never played the candidates tournament before. And I think we could explain a little bit more why this candidates tournament qualification is so important. We keep talking about it. We don't even talk that much about the first place because the qualification spot is so important. So why is that? David, if you were to break down the qualification system and how difficult it is to make it to the candidates, what would you say to the viewers?
It's an interesting system. I'll say that. Maybe it could be improved. It's very complicated to understand, but every player's dream, right? Every chess player, especially every professional, they want to be world champion. And the world champion is sitting there at the end of the line on his throne, waiting for a challenger. So we find that challenger by inviting 8 players to the candidates tournament. At the moment, it's 3 places for the World Cup. It's 2 places from the Grand Swiss. There's a spot on the FIDE circuit, which is a bunch of slightly random tournaments throughout the year, 2024, 2025, and 1 rating spot that Hikaru Nakamura has locked down pretty much, unless Magnus comes out and plays a lot of games by the end of the year. But so eventually we find 8, and to be one of those 8, to have a 1 in 8 chance of becoming the challenger for the world title. You need to get there, and it's difficult, especially in a 206 player knockout like this. Judith, it's an interesting system, but it's worth it, and it's what all the players dream of.
Absolutely, to play in the candidates, it's a great forward, one step ahead, and it's fantastic event. Actually, that's the event which I wait every time when it comes around.
The candidates tournament is the huge prize that Sindarov already has in his pockets, and Wei Yi as well. We did get a chance to talk to the Chinese grandmaster after he won his tiebreaks today against Andrei Esipenko.
Congratulations, Wei. What does it mean qualifying to the candidates?
It's really one of the biggest goal in my chess career. I didn't expect it. I can do this. And I'm so lucky in this tournament. Yes, but I think, I'm so happy.
Wei, can you describe some of the emotions that are going through with this victory? Was this what you were expecting today, or completely different?
Well, I mean, I don't know what will be the result today, but I just wanted to try my best, and yes.
Will you take us through game 2, the critical win actually today? What happened in that game?
You mean the second game?
Yes.
I mean, in the final position, my opponent just blundered a rook. Otherwise, black can play for a win. I can only fight for a draw. And that's maybe because it's a long tournament and he was tired. That's why he blundered.
As you mentioned, this is the biggest moment of your career, getting into candidates.
Yes.
What is the significance of this? Because you were someone who was a child prodigy, who was 2700 so early, and now after at a later stage, you are now through to candidates.
Even when I was very young and maybe already 2700, but of course not very easy to qualify to the candidates. And yes, but I think now it's even more difficult because there are many young and strong players.
The last 2 years, your game has been fabulous. Who would you give credit to or acknowledgement for all the success that you have had in the last few years?
I'm sorry.
Who would you give credit to for all your success in the last few years?
Seconds, family,
who
sponsor
during this time?
I think I got a lot of support in this tournament. My friend Shushang Yu is here for already 20 days, and also my coach and my friends, also my parents, really wanted me to win maybe today. Yeah. And I was so happy I did that.
There's a school of thought that the Chinese play the Petrov defense well. Like yesterday you had played today. Is there something about that particular defense with Chinese chess?
Are actually these players, especially principled in defense, do you think, compared to maybe players from around the world? That was his question.
Like you and Yu Yangyi, where you play Petrov? Yeah, so for that.
Yeah, so maybe it's a traditional Chinese team, yeah? every strong Chinese players play Petrov.
And will we see Ding Liren in your seconds or team for the candidates?
I think we'll not. But he also played the Petrov a few weeks ago.
Okay. I've been
Wei is through to the finals, and he confirms that Ding Liren is not on his team. They are teammates on the Olympic team, but apparently they are not working together when it comes to this event. Maybe he'll be recruited for the candidates. Who knows? A world championship experience, I think, would come handy for the candidates tournament. But when it comes to the World Cup and what we have witnessed today, Judith, I would love to hear your thoughts first on today's action, your impression of what we have seen in the Rapid Games.
Seen some very interesting and heartbreaking moments. Basically, Sindarov took over the match in the first game, which was very important with the white pieces. And in the second one, it was almost impossible to come back for Yakubboev because of the great decisions what Sindarov was doing. So that was kind of a clear match for him after winning. And in the second one, we can say that yesterday in the first two classical games, the last 2 days, it was very clear that Esipenko is the one who is taking the initiative in the games and a little bit outplaying his opponent. At the same time today, it seemed like Wei made some important preparation and crucial moments. He was somehow, he was more there. In the first game, he had his opportunity. He actually did not convert, or he didn't play it, took the opportunity to take a really serious advantage from black side. And in the second game, he was the one who was pressing until the middle game, and then by the end game, Esipenko took over, and Esipenko was really one step away from proceeding and converting his advantage, and he made the bad move while Wei had only 1 second left, and he was making his saving moves. And then in the next move again, it seemed like Wei is recovering and will have a great chance to save the game, while Esipenko got confused, and probably got confused also because Wei was going down for the second time to 1 second, making his last move and blundered his rook. So that was a moment which when everybody was in a huge shock, including all the players, I believe. So we had a lot of drama and excitement today.
Lots of drama and excitement indeed. And David, when it comes to tomorrow, the finals and the match for the third place, why should our viewers be back? What is on the line for the remaining matches, the remaining games in the World Cup?
Yeah, there's one of the biggest titles in chess on the line. Not many people win the World Cup. That's once in a career, almost, unless your name is Levon Aronian. So the title's on the line, of course, a lot of money on the line between Sindarov and Wei Yi in that final. But of course, that last candidate spot, that eighth player to fill the spots and potentially to find our challenger for the World Championship next year. That's on the line, and I'm hoping people join. We've seen the nerves play a part today. We've seen the heartbreak of it all, and only more to come.
Only more to come tomorrow, same time, same place, and that's many different times depending on where you are in the world. Might be very early, might be very late in the day, but we hope that you will join us for the finals of the World Cup, a near months-long knockout tournament that will now produce one champion for the World Cup, and that could be Sindarov. This is him leaving the playing hall, the youngest remaining participant, 19 years old only, and he is through to the finals. He has qualified to the candidates tournament, and he will play the match against Wei Yi tomorrow for the champions title. Look at that support team around him. His entire family is here. His coach is here. Everyone rooting for Sindarov here on our camera, and of course Wei Yi is also here with his seconds, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes when it comes to a format like this. Every single game matters so much. Yakubboev Sindarov is through. He'll be here tomorrow. Wei Yi will be here tomorrow to play that for the first place, and the third place match is just as important because of the qualification to the candidates tournament. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you all tomorrow.
December, the world turns to Doha, Qatar for chess at its fastest and fiercest. The 2025 FIDE World Rapid and Blitz Championships bring the globe's elite to battle under lightning time controls. December 26th to December 30th, Rapid and Blitz formats designed to reward precision, courage, and creativity. In the heart of the Middle East, Doha offers more than a board, a world-class venue, a cultural backdrop, and a stage worthy of legends. With a €1 million prize fund on the line and the title of world champion at stake. The 2025 FIDE World Rapid and Blitz Championships, the ultimate test of fast chess.
Welcome to the FIDE Online Chess Museum. The International Chess Federation proudly presents the FIDE Chess Museum, an online space celebrating the rich history and evolution of chess. Explore exhibits that trace the game's fascinating journey. Discover the origins of chess, beginning in the distant past, and follow FIDE's centenary journey. Rare chess sets, unique books and memorabilia, autographs of chess legends, trophies of historical tournaments, and stories of the chess champions. Explore the game's legacy and future. Chess is more than a game. It's a global culture of strategy and unity. Join us to experience this unique online journey where history, culture, and passion for chess converge. And also on your phone.